What's something that happened in your family that nobody ever fully explained? From as early as I can remember until I was about 17, my grandma would literally just disappear for exactly 3 days every year on August 12th. And I don't mean like a planned vacation or anything. She would straight up vanish without telling anyone where she was going. The first time I really remember noticing it, I was maybe 7. My mom was freaking out, and my dad was trying to calm her down, saying, "She does this every year, she'll be back." And my mom was like, "That doesn't make it okay." Which TBH was a fair point. My grandma lived alone in this small house about 20 minutes from us. She moved there after grandpa died when I was a baby. She was always super independent, kind of stubborn, but also like the sweetest person ever. But every single year, August 12th, she'd be gone. No note. Nothing. My mom would drive to her house and the car would still be in the driveway, but no grandma. Nobody in my family would really talk about it. Like at all. My mom would be stressed for those 3 days. My dad would seem annoyed, but not surprised. And then when grandma showed up again on the 15th, everyone just moved on. No questions asked. I remember once when I was like 10, I asked my mom where grandma goes, and she just said grown-up things and changed the subject super fast. As I got older, I started noticing more weird stuff around it. And one time I heard my dad tell my mom, "Clara is a grown woman. She's allowed to have her secrets." And my mom was like, "Not when they involve that." And then they noticed me and stopped talking. When I was 15, I decided to investigate. I marked August 12th on my calendar and made this whole plan to figure out where grandma went. The night before, I convinced my friend Jenny to cover for me, saying I was sleeping over at her place. But really, I was going to camp out near grandma's house and follow her. So I'm hiding in these bushes near her driveway at like 5 a.m. Around 5:30, this car I've never seen before pulls up. Not a taxi or anything. It was this old school dark blue Cadillac. The driver stayed inside with the engine running. Then grandma comes out with this small suitcase. But here's the thing. She looked different. She was wearing this fancy dark green dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was all done up. And she had on this necklace with this weird pendant that looked super old. She just got in the car and they drove away. I tried to follow on my bike, but obviously that didn't work. When I got home later that day, my mom was suspicious about why I was back from Jenny's so early, and I panicked and said we had a fight. Then I made the mistake of asking if grandma had left for her trip yet, and my mom's face just dropped. She was like, "What do you know about that?" in this scary, serious voice I'd never heard before. I told her I saw grandma getting into a blue Cadillac that morning. My mom got super pale and called my dad immediately. They had this intense whispered conversation where I heard things like, "She knows," and "just like last time," and "we agreed never to discuss this." And I was far getting scared at this point. Then my dad sat me down and was super serious, like, "Whatever you think you saw, whatever you think you know, you need to drop it. This is not your business to investigate. Your grandmother will be back in 3 days like always." And when I tried to argue, he just said, "This isn't up for discussion. Promise me you'll drop it." And he looked so worried that I promised. 2 years later, when I was 17, grandma got really sick. During one of my visits, we were alone, and she seemed extra tired. I decided to finally ask her directly. I was like, "Grandma, can I ask you something? Where do you go every year on August 12th? She got this weird look on her face. Not angry, more like surprised. She was quiet for a long time, then asked me to get something from her closet. It was this old wooden box with carvings on it. Inside was a bunch of old photos I'd never seen. She showed me one from the 1960s. It was her standing next to this guy who wasn't my grandpa. They were both dressed up fancy. Her in that same green dress I saw her wearing that morning I spied on her. The guy was tall, handsome in that old-timey way, and they were looking at each other like, well, like people in love. "His name was Kier," she said. "He was my first love. We were engaged before I met your grandfather." I was confused because this didn't explain the yearly disappearances. Then she showed me another photo. Same guy, but older. Maybe from the 1980s. She was in it too, still wearing that green dress. Both of them sitting at some restaurant. Grandma got really quiet, then said, "Some promises don't end even when they should." She wouldn't say anything more, just put the photos away and asked me to never mention it to my mother. Turns out Kier was the love of her life before grandpa. Even after they both married other people, they secretly met for 3 days every year. Grandpa knew but stayed silent. But my mom always saw it as a betrayal and could never accept it. But I think there's more to the story that I don't know yet.